Good evening and welcome to Have I Got News For You. As you may have heard, the BBC has issued a ban on mentioning certain aspects of Peter Mandelson's life. We, however, refuse to submit to any form of censorship and will continue for a meal in Clapham. In the news this week, at a CBI press conference, Gordon Brown instantly regrets patting the bottom of his new Equal Opportunities advisor. While prison warders search his cell for hidden weapons, one of Britain's most dangerous criminals enjoys a shave. And in the small hours of this morning, Lord Hailsham sneaks home after playing the worst game of poker in his life. On Ian Hislop's team, the Queen Mother's favourite laughter maker, apart from Gordon's gin, Jackie Mason. And with Paul Merton tonight, a writer whose recent work contained more sex scandal and intrigue than a book by Jeffrey Archer. That's because it was a book about Jeffrey Archer. Michael Crick. So, as Saddam Hussein brings the threat of World War III ever nearer, we concentrate on the week's more important stories. Ian and Jackie.
This is the man who we can't mention. Mm-hmm. That's the programme we can't mention. Oh, there's John Burt.
This man, this is the guy you're not supposed to talk about, right?
Peter Mandelson is his name, yeah.
I'd rather you didn't mention his name.
Why?
Because I think we should respect John Burt, who's the Director General of the BBC. I think you should respect his views, because he does not want it to be known publicly that the man we don't mention is a friend of his. It is none of our business if this man and John Burt are friends. That's entirely their personal lives. And if John wants to gag the world's largest news broadcasting information on the grounds that it's a friend of him, why shouldn't he?
Of course, it's all cropped up because of the Newsnight programme, which is a programme that you work on, Michael.
Yes.
Have you chatted with Jezza?
I certainly have, yes,
right.
And there's been a very interesting exchange of letters, which he hasn't told me about, which I've read about.
So what did he tell you?
He told me to keep my mouth shut on this subject.
Yes, he hand-delivered, didn't he? An apology?
So I believe, yes, right down...
Straight through his letterbox. I could do that when I was younger.
Yes, what was the response from Mandelson?
I don't believe you, I think, was what he said, and that Newsnight's been out to get me for the last 3 or 4 years, and...
But that's true, surely.
No, it's 5 or 6 years, I think.
That's sorted.
But has Faxman ever apologised to anyone for anything else he'd said? It seems extraordinary that he should suddenly feel obliged to feel remorse. All he did was, Matthew Parris said there were 2 people who were friends of John Burt.
We can have a look at the clip again if you want. The problem is...
I mean, I don't want to see it myself. I don't think it's any of our business. But if the audience wants to see it...
Well, it's the will of the people, isn't it? So we can show it to you.
People's clip.
The drawback being that we can only show it to you. You can't actually hear anything that anyone's saying because of the ban by the BBC.
Who is this guy?
Interview. And he got him to say this.
Fantastic, I think you'll all agree.
If you keep this on a joke level, as a joke it makes sense, but if you want to be serious for a minute, then I know this is not the purpose of the show.
Hey, we'll rise to it.
The point is, why shouldn't you be able to keep this a secret, just like any other private thing? And why should it be anybody else's right to talk about it? And I think that this whole show is disgusting for mentioning it.
There is a rather interesting precedent to this case, in fact, where another cabinet minister's sexuality was questioned not that long ago. Anyone, any ideas for an extra point who that might have been?
Desert Island Disc, Sue Lawley, Gordon Brown.
Very good.
But do you understand people's curiosity? People want to know whether you're gay or whether there's some flaw in your personality that you haven't made a relationship. Do you perhaps accept that as a public person it's a price you have to pay?
Well, I don't mind answering the questions, and certainly I think people have a right to know what the politicians do and what their arrangements are. That there is a fascination. I'm not surprised at that.
Do they have a right to know?
It's different in other countries actually, but I think yes, I think people have got a right to know.
This is a strange show. First of all, you show a clip with no sound, and then you show... You show a sound clip with no pictures. Is it not possible to marry the two things together?
What right did you have to put him on right after I said exactly the opposite just to make a schmuck out of me?
Because that's what we do on this show. This is, anyway, the fury which has erupted over the confidential BBC internal memo this week, which reads... please will all programmes note that under no circumstances whatsoever should the private life of Peter Mandelson be referred to on any broadcast. Whoops. Norman Tebbit came out of the woodwork on Monday to suggest that gays should not occupy senior cabinet posts, saying it is not acceptable that homosexuals should be in a position to do each other favours. This is, of course, the same Norman Tebbit who steered through the privatisation of BT and a few years later joined them as a director, so it's OK for mad heterosexuals then. Paul and Michael.
This is the air stewardess.
Oh, look, it's that time of the month again. Give us some Primrose Oil, for God's sake. It's about people being banned from being violent on flights.
Yes. They do have names, though.
Well, everybody does, doesn't they?
Handy, hasn't Stephen Handy.
He attacked a hero over the head with a bottle of vodka. Rather nastily.
Yes.
As if there's not a pleasant way of doing it, really. He's been banned from all flights in the UK.
Not just flights, either. In fact, he's been banned...
ferries as well.
...from Hoverspeed and Eurotunnel, so it begs the question, how's he supposed to get back? And do you know what the most common cause of air rage is?
Crashing. People get furious about it.
It is, in fact, smoking. So was there any air rage on your Concorde here, Jackie?
I have no idea because they didn't come here on the Concorde.
No.
But I appreciate the opportunity of making me feel rich for a minute.
Did we not pay for a Concorde for you to get here?
They paid, but I kept the money.
Ian and Jackie, news from home for you.
Who's that?
That's a guy desperate for attention. Al Gore. He took a Viagra, it worked on every part of his body except where it's supposed to work. Everybody thought that the Monica Lewinsky case would destroy the Clinton party, the Democratic Party, and the whole story of Clinton's oral sex problems.
Never seemed to be a problem as far as I could work.
Everybody said that's disgusting for a president of the United States to have oral sex with an intern. Then they had a grand jury testimony, which you probably all saw in this country, where he explained that oral sex is not sex. And the whole country in the United States is walking around wondering, it's not sex? I could have sworn. Everybody said, I could have sworn it was sex. What were we doing? People are calling up their hookers to get their money back.
But why didn't they mind? Because everybody said over here, oh, you know, the Republicans are going to walk it, the Democrats have had it.
The amazing thing is that he's gotten more popular every time he does it. When he caught the first girl, he was 59% in the polls. Then he played around with another girl, 62%. Then everybody said it's disgusting, so he fooled around with another girl, 65%. If he catches one more girl, he's going to become the Emperor of Japan.
So, Michael, were you covering the election for Newsnight?
Well, I was due to cover some of it, but I got caught up in a campaign to stop Rupert Murdoch taking over our football team.
Manchester United Football Club, you mean?
Yes.
Didn't succeed there, did he?
We're doing very well, thank you
All
very
right.
much. It's gone to the Monopolies Commission.
And who have you got to thank for referring it to the Monopolies Commission?
Our friend Peter Mandelson.
Please. I really don't think what he does in his political life is any of your business.
I can't understand this whole thing with this Mendelssohn. Don't you think it's disgusting that people dislike him?
Well, I don't dislike him. And I
But
don't
why
think
is he
anyone
so
here does.
unpopular here?
Because people don't like him.
I don't think they like being
Why
censored.
is it he's got all the answers and you don't seem to know what's going on?
I have to drag it back to the question, which was the Democrats' surprisingly strong performance in the midterm elections. And this week, Paula Jones was offered $1 million to drop her lawsuit against Clinton. Back in 1991, the president made advances towards her, but she backed down at the last minute. So close but no cigar. And finally, Paul and Michael, familiar territory.
Ah, it's my friend, Geoffrey Archer.
Geoffrey Archer in the middle.
Limbering up to fight this man, Ken Livingstone, for the mayor.
You know a lot about Lord Archer, of course, don't you, having written a book about
A
him?
little, yes.
You're an obsessive, aren't you?
Yes, guilty.
Don't you think his private life is none of your business? That's always been my view.
I don't understand. What is Archer being accused of?
Well, trying to run for mayor of London. When some people think that he has certain questions to answer about dealings in Anglia shares and how he got into Oxford University and an occasion when he was arrested for shoplifting in a store in Toronto.
The thing about Geoffrey Archer is every book he writes 15 drafts of it. So if you read one of Geoffrey Archer's books and you think, oh, this isn't very good, it's been improved 14 times.
So who did Archer visit for an extra point last year for advice?
The mayor of New York, Rudy Giuliani, who, of course, is well known for cracking down on insider trading, and presumably he asked his advice on how to do that.
And who helped Giuliani with his election?
I helped him a lot, yeah. If not for me, he wouldn't be mayor today. I say it in this country because who's going to know the difference?
But is that true then?
I never made that claim in New York, but here I figure who knows? The truth is I worked very hard on Giuliani's campaign because I felt he was a great law and order man. And since he became the mayor, the crime has gone down a lot. It used to be 4 out of 5 chances of getting killed if you walked in the street in New York. Now it's only 2 out of 3.
Dragging you back to the question, which I have to do, unfortunately.
I don't see why that's important on a show like this.
What the hell? Who joined the race for the mayoral election, or the Mayor of London election this week?
A taxi driver who says that he's already signed up a large number of his fares, I think.
Yes, and some of his opinions were that London hotels were too expensive. I don't know if you back this out, but...
He's not staying in one. He's dossing out, keeping the money.
Sorry, yes, we had established that, hadn't we?
That was almost funny.
Yes, it is. It's the candidates for London's first mayor this week, joined by London cabbie Chas Kisson, who has just announced his decision to stand. Although a cabbie, Mr Kisson has produced a broad-ranging manifesto, his main policies being the abolition of speed bumps, automatic fines for unlicensed minicabs, better illuminated street names, and penalties for homeowners failing to display their house numbers. Clearly has the interests of all Londoners at heart. So at the end of our primary round, the polls are such that Ian and Jackie are in need of a recount, being behind 6-5. The odd one out round is how we fill what would otherwise be an unnecessary silence. Paul, your subjects are Peter Mandelson, the Queen, Michael Jackson, and Jason Donovan.
That's Christmas in the Scrubs then, isn't it? Well, I don't know. What could it possibly be? Jason Donovan was once accused by the Face magazine, not accused, or outed apparently, or whatever, and as gay, and he said he wasn't. He successfully sued them. So, I mean, is the Queen been accused of being a queen?
The clue's probably after hours, something they do after hours.
They all relax in their own way.
It's a retail question.
They all eat after 8 mints at 5 minutes to 8 just to be rebellious.
They've all had shops specially opened for them.
Oh, that's it.
Well, the bloke we don't mention had the Conran shop opened specially for him to buy a sofa.
Well, Jason Donovan's the odd one out then.
Because he doesn't have shops that open.
That's right.
Is the right answer, Ian? Yes, you're right. The answer is that all of them have had West End stores open specially for them, with the exception of Jason Donovan, who was barred from Harrods because of the state of his denim jeans. So their proprietor may be bribing MPs, breaking into safe deposit boxes and harassing female staff, but nice to see he still has some standards. When it was revealed that the Conran shop had been opened exclusively for Peter Mandelson, Sir Terence Conran insisted, "I would do this for any of my customers who said they were in a bit of a hurry." So if you're interested, the Conran shop can be contacted on 01715897401. Michael, help yourself to Lord Baden-Powell, Socks the Cat, Payne Stewart, and Peter Mandelson.
Lord Baden-Powell, he was fascist, wasn't he? Racist?
He wrote a book famously, didn't he? Scouting for Boys.
Ah.
That was the name of his book, Scouting for Boys.
Absolutely.
Made no comment about it, so he brought a book out called Scouting for Boys. Who's listening? I'm listening. Who's listening? Sorry,
Is it anything to do with leg wear? I mean, this golfer's got some funny... He's got some funny socks on,
I think
hasn't
it's
he?
wearing long socks or wearing garters.
And Baden-Powell would have worn... I mean, you can't see them on this picture, but...
No.
I mean, his trousers wouldn't have gone down to the ground. They would have been...
Not in those days.
Is it a socks question?
Might be.
Right. So, you're suggesting that Peter Mandelson wears socks? Isn't that about his private life? I mean...
It's a relatively innocuous accusation given what we've been saying about in the rest of the programme. Yes.
Peter Mandelson wears long socks. So does the golfing chap.
Payne Stewart, yeah.
And so does Baden-Powell. Yeah. And the cat is socks.
Is the right answer.
Yes. Well done.
Yes, whose
Very
cat
clever.
is he, in fact?
Clinton's cat, isn't he?
Which Clinton, though, particularly?
Oh, Hillary Clinton.
Chelsea, in fact.
Oh, Chelsea
Reported
Clinton,
for, yeah.
right.
A black with white patches, so not unlike Monica's dress.
So,
Presumably the patches aren't the same size as they are. He's been blessed. Was the cat originally a black cat before?
Yes, the answer is that they all wear long socks, with the exception of Socks the cat. Matthew Paris recently described Peter Mandelson thus: "The minister without portfolio pulled his left trouser halfway up his leg. The sock extended all the way up to the knee. No flesh was visible, just sleek, discreetly bulging, thin grey cotton." At which point Jeremy Paxman said, "Well, I think we'll move on from there." Lord Baden-Powell, founder of the Scout movement, has at various times been singled out for racism, fascism and homosexuality, the three hardest badges to get after orientation. Ian, Ron Davis, Peter Mandelson, Lenin and James Bond.
Well, I think the answer to this question is to do with the Secret Services. The Secret Services claim they'd been observing Ron Davis for years, and they knew exactly what he was up to. They just didn't mention it to anyone, because they thought it was none of anyone's business. Mandelson, there was a file about him. MI5 thought that he was a socialist, which is a bit of a laugh. Lenin, even MI5 spotted he was a bit of a socialist. So they're all on MI5's files, apart from James Bond, who was in MI6 and had a license to kill.
I think you'll find he was a fictional character.
I don't believe it!
No, look, there he is there, look. He was in all those films, James Bond.
I think you might find it Sean Connery. And then
They do look similar now you mention it. Isn't Sean Connery a special friend of Peter Mandelson? Because Peter's given him one of his flowers, look.
Yes, fascinating fact about Sean Connery.
Gave a lot of money to the SNP?
That is a fascinating fact. It's not the fascinating fact I was after. He was asked to play for Manchester United by Matt Busby.
Oh, God, that is interesting, Angus.
I don't know where we'd be without you, Angus.
It's incredible.
BBC One, perhaps?
Yes, the answer is that MI5 have kept files on all of them with the exception of James Bond. The original 007, Sean Connery, proudly sports a tattoo on his arm saying Scotland Forever, which he had done at his local tattoo shop in the Bahamas. And finally, in this round, Jackie, Winston Churchill Jr., yourself, Adam, and Peter Mandelson.
I don't think I have that much in common with Mendelssohn.
His father, Mandelson's father, is Jewish. Now, I presume your father's Jewish?
Probably. That's what he told me anyway. I took his wife for it.
I'm not sure the exact theological basis of this, but Adam's father, technically, being God, is Jewish.
I think everybody is Jewish. They're just ashamed to admit it.
Well, I think that's really this question, isn't it? They're all Jewish.
Traditionally, you have to pick an odd one out.
Winston Churchill's grandchild, what's his connection to this whole story? I can't figure it out. I would say we're left with the simple fact that this game is not for me.
It does actually have something to do with your former career.
Rabbi.
Yes.
I don't know, it doesn't help at all.
No.
Jackie's the only one there who was previously a rabbi, and the rest weren't.
You were in the right area previously.
What, Jewishness?
More in terms of it being a relative question.
Famous grandfathers. Oh, well, yeah, Mandelson's grandfather was in the Labour cabinet. Winston Churchill's grandfather was Winston Churchill. Your grandfather was...
A rabbi.
He wasn't a politician.
He was a famous rabbi, was he?
All rabbis.
The same
Nobody-
as themselves.
Yes, that's it. Ian's got it.
Nobody can understand
And the odd one out being...
Adam.
Is the right answer. Well done. Yes. The answer is that all of them have followed in their grandfather's footsteps, with the exception of Adam, who didn't have a grandfather.
That's a fantastic revelation.
And something which he regretted, I think, mainly because that he had no one to dump Cain and Abel on during the school holidays. It's an odd one, though, isn't it? I mean, if Adam didn't have a father, where did Cain and Abel's wives come from?
You're right, you've picked out the one weakness in Christianity. Let's forget it. Forget it. It doesn't work. Forget it. It's all made up. Forget it. Thank God for you. Or thank anybody for you.
Which fading memories mark the end of this age-old round, with Paul and Michael crumbling fast, trailing as they are 11-8. So now for John Burt's favourite round, as several keywords are forcibly removed for no good reason. Our weekly selection of butchered headlines, including some or none from tonight's guest publication, surely the leader in its field, Scottish Dentist.
That's lucky, I get that.
Let's away with judges found guilty of being what, and what.
Young, gifted and black. Senile, stupid and incontinent.
Freeman, Hardy and Willett.
No. Rude, unfair and indecisive.
Oh, I don't believe it.
Next, what palace?
Buckingham.
Buckingham Palace is your guess.
Westminster.
I'll give you a clue that it is about Prince Charles, but about some hens, and it was from the Daily Mirror, so...
Cluckingham Palace.
Is the right answer. Next, what heads towards millennium?
Calendar. Time.
No.
The art of dentistry.
I bet he's right. I bet it's Scottish
What?
dentists.
Scottish dentistry.
Is the right answer. This is according to Professor Sheehan of the
He doesn't
All
know what
Health
he's talking about.
Department. Really?
He's yesterday's dentist.
Not in Scotland. Still big in Scotland. He said this week, people in future will want nice, shiny, white teeth so they can talk and smile.
He's no mug, is he?
Next, what for dead witches?
Posthumous pardon. The
False
government-
teeth. False teeth for dead witches. Scottish dentists. False teeth for dead witches. Dead witches want false teeth. So they can eat in the afterlife.
Oddly enough, this doesn't come from Scottish dentists.
Stuffed cats.
Broomstick reductions.
Yeah.
No, none of these things. It is, in fact, no pardon.
I said pardon. I know that's the wrong answer, but can I have a point?
Yes.
Posthumous.
Posthumous
As well.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
Well, it's the opposite. That's why I decided not to give you the point. No pardon is the answer. This is the case of the Pendle witches hanged in 1612, whose verdict Jack Straw this week.
No, we won that one because you were half right.
Yeah, but he didn't give us any points.
She's got a lot of goddamn nerve.
Call me old-fashioned, I just feel as if posthumous pardon and no pardon are opposites rather than the same thing, but, you know.
I was in the area.
That's what Ron Davis said.
Next, what halted by the mighty Newt?
Super Toad. He's a superhero, lives in Chicago. The mighty Newt's his arch enemy. The Newt and the Toad wrestling in the skyscrapers of Chicago. Jackie will tell you it's true.
Don't blame me for this, I don't know what he's talking about.
Roadwork.
I'll give you one for roadwork. Bulldozers is in fact the answer, although the headline makes slightly more sense when you realise it wasn't just one Newt, it was 7 or 8 of them. And finally, Queen tells Charles what?
Give us a kiss, I feel fruity. That'd be a story, wouldn't it?
Sadly, she didn't, and it isn't.
I'm not going to die.
I'm your mum.
It is in fact to ditch Camilla, is the answer, although I'm sure Her Majesty would not have phrased it that way. Yeah. Give the old bag the heap-ho. Which painful interjections put an end to tonight's half hour of Needle, and the grim truth is that this week's putts heads are Paul and Michael with 10, while this week's clever dicks are Ian and Jackie with 13. So to our winners, an outing to Paris. To our losers, an outing by Paris. And I leave you with news that in Westminster there's outrage after Labour get involved in an ad campaign for Obsession Aftershave. In Woburn, after securely locking every window, a safari park ranger suddenly remembers his sunroof. And further censorship hits the BBC as a number of cabinet ministers are airbrushed out of a photograph. Good night.